Alright, we talked about integers, we talked about the opposites, and we talked about comparing. Now let's take a look at adding integers. There's three different ways you can do this, starting from the most basic or the easiest, number line, to a little more involved, sketching, or a little more involved, using rules. Ultimately, we want to get to number 3. Let's look at the number line method. Here's your number line, and remember, your number line can go as far as you need it to go in the positive direction. It can go to positive infinity. It can also go the same amount in the negative direction, negative infinity. So let's start with the simple addition, 5 plus 3. We know the answer is 8, but let's take a look at how you would use a number line. First of all, you would start at the first number in your addition problem. You would start at 5, on the number line starting at 5. And I'm going to add 3, so I'm going to add 1, I'm going to add 2, I'm going to add 3. So 5 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1, and I end up at my result, which is 8. Now, what if I took 5 plus negative 3? Same, I would start at my starting point. Now, I added 3 last time, and I went to the right. If I'm adding a negative 3, or the opposite direction, or opposite of 3, which way do you think I would go? Hopefully you say to the left. So I would go 3 to the left direction. And some people would say, yes, it's the same as subtracting 2, 3, so I would go 3 to the left. And if I would move 3 to the left, 1, 2, 3, I would go backwards 3, and I would end up at the answer of 2. Let's try this. 2 plus negative 5, starting point of 2. Do I go right or left? Which way should I go? Hopefully you say to the left. Let's go left 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Where do I end up? 5 left. I end up at negative 3. So remember, the first number is my starting point on my number line. The next number tells me where to move. If it's negative, I would move left because it's the opposite direction. If it's positive, I would move right. That's the most basic method. It takes a little bit because you need a number line. If you don't have a number line, you could use this, which is the sketching method. In order to do this, you have to understand a simple rule. If you have a positive and a negative, if they would come together as this, you must understand they would cancel each other out. Remember, opposites would cancel each other out because they're the same distance away from 0. So a positive 1 and a negative 1, if they would go together, would always lead you back to the center of 0. So let's try this, 7 plus negative 5. So to sketch, you would draw 7 pluses to represent the 7 positives you have. You would draw 7 minuses, or 5 minuses or 5 negatives to represent the negative 5 you have. I'm going to stack them up on top of each other, and what I'm going to do is start crossing off opposites. Every positive cancels out with every negative. So a positive cancels out with a negative. Cancel, cancel, cancel. Remember, it's only one positive with one negative. Cancel. And when I'm done with that, I have no other negatives to cancel the positives out with. So I'm left with a positive 2. My answer then is a positive 2. What if I had this? Negative 8, 8 negatives, 6 negatives. And if you notice, there is nothing to cancel because only a positive can cancel with a negative. So there is nothing to cancel. All I can do is join them together. So what I would end up with is a negative 14 because I have 14 negatives or 14 opposites. So that's how the sketching method works. You would sketch out your positives, you would sketch out your negatives, cancel out one positive with one negative when you can. If you can't cancel out because you don't have any positives, then you would simply join them together. Another example of using the sketching method would be this. I want you to think of good things that happen in your day and bad things that happen in your day. The positive numbers will be the amount of good things that happened in your day. The negative number will represent how many bad things happened in your day. Every day you live life, there are good things that happen and bad things that happen. Ultimately, we want more good things to happen so when we go to bed at night, we can say, you know what, today was a good day. So again, we'll make sketches. And We're going to use frowny faces or bad things that happen in my day to represent the negative number. So in this particular day, I had 4 bad things happen, and I had 10 good things happen. So look at the picture. What kind of day will you end up having? Overall a good day or overall a bad day? Hopefully you can see that the goods will outweigh the bads. So think about this. Which do you have more of? Do you have more good things or positive numbers, or bad things, negative numbers? So what we can do now is, after we withdraw this, we can cancel out. Every good thing would cancel out with one bad thing. So one good, one bad, they're opposites, so they can cancel each other out. I can cancel 2 more out, I can cancel 2 more out, and I can cancel 2 more out, and I'm left with no more negatives, but only 6 positives. So what kind of answer do I end up with? I end up with a positive 6. So you can think about the numbers this way: good things and bad things. Let's look at one more with the good day, bad day idea. Here are 7 good things that happened in my day. Here are 13 bad things. Hopefully you would see just by looking at this that overall you probably didn't have a great day because you had more bad things happen to you than you did good. So if I would draw it out visually, you can see I have more bad things that happen versus good things. I could cancel these out one by one, or I could say, look, I have 7 of these. It's going to cancel out with 7 of its opposites, which are 7 bad things. So let's pull all 7 down at once. 7 goods cancel out with 7 bads, and they immediately cancel out because they're opposites. Opposites always pull towards 0, which is worth nothing. Cancel it out. What am I left with? I'm left with more bad throughout my day than I had good. And specifically, I end up with 6 bad. So my answer here would be -6. The last method is where we ultimately want to get to. It's called the rules method. Basically, you have this. Your problem is one of 2 things. You either have same signs, so in the problem they're both negative, or they're different signs, which means one is positive, one is negative, or one is negative, one is positive. Let's look at same sign first. The rules are this. You take the numbers and add the numbers. That's step 1. After that, you write down a negative sign. So let's try it. -5 plus -4. Well, let's do this. 5 plus 4 is 9. Take the negative and put it with your answer, and you get -9. Let's try this. -12 plus -3. What is 12 plus 3? 12 plus 3 is 15. Take the negative and keep the negative in the answer. -15. And that's it. Different signs. If there's one positive and one negative. The rule is subtract the numbers and then keep the sign of the largest digit. Subtract the numbers. 5 minus 4 is 1. Keep the sign of the largest digit. Well, 5 is bigger than 4, so 5 is positive, so I would leave this as a positive 1. -20 plus 18. Subtract the numbers. 20 minus 18 is 2. Keep the sign of the largest digit. The 20 is larger than the 18. So I would take the negative that is in front of the larger number and put it with my answer. And I would get an answer of -2. So those are my 3 different ways. Ultimately, we want to be able to get to the rules. That way we don't have to have a number line in front of us. The sketching, we don't want to have to draw out all these positive signs and all these negative signs. Ultimately, we want to get to the rules. Good luck.